Alright, so 2023 is over, and it's time for us to look back at those movies that told us, yeah, despite all the garbage and crap they're putting on the theaters this year, there's some hope. Maybe. Hey there, what's going on, you guys? So 2023 wrapping up, 2024 is coming right up on us. That came out sounding a lot worse than I thought it was, especially with some of my audience. They're going to take that all the wrong way. Nevertheless, it's the end of the year, and now we're going into the beginning of a new year, and I thought it's time for us to do like we always do. For the third time in the history of my channel, talk about the best movies to come out in 2023. To be brief, I have reviews for most of these on my channel. Real quick, some guidelines and rules here. These aren't reviews. This is just me saying my top 10 favorites. Just because I gave a movie a higher rating doesn't mean it'll have a higher placement here. This is all pretty much just my opinion. Now, my opinion does also change. Also, these aren't reviews for the movies. This is just me mentioning them and giving you a brief something about them. With that said, let's get everything out of the way with our 6 honorable mentions. And those honorable mentions are, in alphabetical order, Asteroid City, Ferrari, The Iron Claw, Let's Meet Halfway, Maestro, and Napoleon. All those movies just missed out. Like, they were this close to getting in, not all of them, but pretty much all those are the ones I really consider to be the best. Right there, but not quite my top 10. Let's quit jabbering. Let's get to them. In a year saturated with comic movies, only one makes my list, and that's in the 10th spot, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. What a great send-off and wrapping up the ending of this trilogy, sort of quadrilogy if you count the holiday special, of James Gunn's Guardians of the Galaxy universe. Great for the MCU. The best thing that honestly came out all this year. You can check out my review for, like I said, if you want to hear more about it. But honestly, my opinion basically does everything right. Hits the beats, gets you in the feels, and has some action scenes that really get your blood pumping. And also Rocket, my man, my buddy in anger management. Because this movie really demonstrates to you what happens if you have a full plan in advance that's fully thought out and really fully realized. Number 9 is probably the coziest movie to come out this year. Feels a little old school, and I love that a lot about it. That's The Holdovers. A movie that just basically is a bunch of people hanging out in a school while no one else is around, with a ton of warm performances that just kind of feel like someone giving you a big old hug. Loved it to pieces. There's some possible Oscar-nominated people in here that can basically get nominated again, and there's a new actor as our lead. Well, sort of lead, I guess you could say, and I feel like he's an up-and-comer. Great movie. It's just a movie that makes you feel good and gives you those emotions. Loved it to pieces. And I guarantee the Oscars are going to look at this one, too. But not a lot of people are talking about it. Disappointing, so go check it out. Number 8. I think a lot of people would have this a lot higher up, and alright, I get that I have it a little lower than most people would. I haven't even seen some people's lists, but that's Barbie. This is a movie that really just works, despite the fact it really shouldn't. I remember first seeing images of this when it was first being filmed, the behind-the-scenes footage, and kind of doubting it. Great movie, though. It tackles so much, gets both sides of the battle of the sexes just so interesting and right while playing it with comedy. Just brilliant stuff all the way around. And Ryan Gosling steals the show. Margot Robbie gives a phenomenal performance. Great music, great set design. Pretty much great all around, despite the fact there were a few things I didn't like in it, which is just a few subplots. Overall, good stuff. Love this movie. And yes, I'm just kidding. We're all enough. Number 7 is a movie that I saw very early this year, but really impressed me. Had an Australian release that we got in America. Blueback, a movie about a group of fish. Just a big fish. And people trying to protect him and its connection with his mom and daughter. With a bunch of new actors in it and just a ton of just simplistic plot lines and great emotions and just real stuff happening. Just something that felt normal. It felt like I was watching real people, almost documentary-esque at points, and I really like that this movie did commentary in a way that actually works and doesn't feel preachy. Great stuff all the way around, and I don't know, I just really got hooked. I got swept up in this movie. Such a good watch. But apparently no one else really watched it. I guess people don't like fish. That's why the ocean's so polluted. Number 6 for me is another very quiet film that spans a long time. Past Lives comes to us from A24. Them knocking out the park again with this one. Just the perfect story of life and love and how we grow and how we change and things that endure. I can't say enough good about this. A24 has perfected this to a T. They managed to do these quiet films without making them boring, and this one was no different. Really had me just inside like, you know it works. It's such a good movie. And I don't know why we don't get movies like that a lot more. A24 is like the only ones really making this kind of stuff, but keep making it. That's why you're number 6. A ton of people who work together again, and a newcomer comes up and helps to kind of steal part of the show. Killers of the Flower Moon from Martin Scorsese, starring Leonardo DiCaprio, Robert De Niro, and Lily Gladstone. This movie absolutely killed it. 3 hours of a dramatization of something that's constantly ignored and not talked about in history, but is very relevant and told very consistently. While I do think there's some struggles in the third act, this movie is just impressive. The way it's written, the performances, the cinematography, the direction, the writing, everything about it really keeps you interested, and you understand different things, and you see relationships, and it really shows you people do things that they normally wouldn't do in a movie. Some really unlikable people. It's a great thing, though, and it's just Scorsese being classic. It's a great director with great actors, great people on his set, and able to make a really great movie. What else did you expect? Number 4, I am not going to stop writing Tom Cruise's meat anytime soon. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. That's right. I think this movie's that good. I think this is possibly in the top 3 best Mission Impossible movies ever made, and this movie just has no right to be as good as it is. This movie is just impressive all the way around. The action sequences that are just truly groundbreaking for practical effects. Tom Cruise at 60, still killing it. A script that could be generic with AI, but isn't. And just a plot that, even though the movie is long, you never feel for an instant, and the characters just stay the way they always are. These lovable people you care about, some great emotional payoffs, and a setup for the next one that just feels perfectly right. I just love this movie, and a score that just slaps. A movie that kind of surprised me late in the year, but man, am I glad I saw it. Godzilla Minus One is the best Godzilla movie we've ever had. I'm going to say it. I'm going to call it. I don't even really care what people say. This movie just was so good. This was a film. It was the first movie that really made me reinvigorate my love for Godzilla, the way he was portrayed, the way I cared about the characters, which was such a new thing to me now. And it's just well made all around. The production design, the way you felt it, the way it's an underdog story for the people in the movie, the way everything is just built, the world, the way it retells the story. There's an artistic, original, pure vision. Love it to pieces. And Godzilla's great in here. Like, damn, he's badass, and he's scary. About time someone got that right also. So yeah, that's why this thing is in the top 3 of the entire year. A movie seemingly everyone forgot about, though it got praised early in the year and has a bunch of people we love. Air, directed by Ben Affleck, starring Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, Viola Davis. Great movie, but for some reason, people, I guess, just didn't remember it in the long run. But this movie, for me, resonated so well. Combined basketball and Matt Damon and Ben Affleck. 2 of my favorite combinations. Talking about how you create something. I love movies like this where we found something's created or things like that. This movie's no different. It manages to throw in a surprising amount of depth and like emotion in it, which I wouldn't expect from a movie like this, but pulls it off brilliantly. But it's these guys again. I'm not surprised. I loved it. It's comedically infused. It's rich with characters, great dialogue, and just a sharp, crisp film. Please respect this movie. Please love it. Please remember it. My number 1 best movie of the year. This should be no surprise to you. It's the only one to choose. It's Oppenheimer. This movie did everything right. A 3-hour biopic that made almost $1 billion, which everybody loved, which is part of the Barbenheimer whole thing that happened. Just, what's not to love about this movie? This is possibly one of my favorite movies of all time now. I can't talk enough about the score, the performance, particularly by Cillian Murphy, Robert Downey Jr. Just such great filmmaking here by Christopher Nolan. The use of practical effects, the bomb, everything, the way it's not focused on the bomb. It's about Oppenheimer. You stay invested in the dialogue. The third act, which is just as good as the second act, and honestly, one of the best endings in film history. I mean, there's no other competition for me. This movie's just perfection. So yeah, anyway, that's it. Let me know in the comments down below what your movies were that are your top 10 favorite of the year. I'd love to hear them. I can't wait to hear them. Tell me what I got wrong here, what I got right. And literally, as weird as it sounds, I'll see all you guys in the new year. So thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you. I'll see you all next time.